And because Professor Chilani, in case China wanted to browbeat India, did China succeed or fail, let's say 2020 at Galwan, or subsequently in Yangtze, or even now when there are several analysts in Pakistan who say that China's entire, China-Pakistan economic corridor strategy appears to be backfiring. China's very upset. China's very upset about the loss of life of Chinese. So even if Pakistan and China come together, are they able to succeed, or are they unable to succeed despite their evil intent, sir?
Gaurav, whether it's the China problem, whether it's the Bangladesh problem, or the Pakistan problem, or the Myanmar problem, all these problems center on one issue: border management. Unless India concentrates on upgrading its border management, on building real border security, India's internal and security will come under growing pressure. India's internal and external security are both hinge on effective border management. Take Bangladesh. 30% of the border with Bangladesh doesn't even have a barbed wire fence, and now the effort to build border fence, a barbed wire fence along the Bangladesh border has come to a stop because the Bangladesh border guards opened fire on the workers. So when we don't have proper border management, if we don't have proper borders that are secure, how can we actually enhance our security? How can we feel secure? And I think the issues are common. We need to invest resources. We need to focus on effective border management. That has to be priority number one. We are spending billions of dollars every year in importing weapons that we will not, that will not be utilized in any war. What we need to do is to invest resources in border security. That has become an increasing challenge for India, because over the years we have neglected border security, and now the Bangladesh issue is becoming more acute.
And first,
even the Myanmar problem is becoming more acute and having an impact on the situation in Manipur. So we need to focus on building effective border security.
That's a very pertinent point you raised. I'll come to you, General Bhatia, but Tarak Karta, I want to understand. I had covered the killing of BSF soldiers in Pirdwa and Mankachar when Bangladeshi border guards had killed many Indian border guards in 2001. And that was very disappointing. We're a far stronger country, but Bangladeshis, their border guards could kill our BSF personnel. Now they can stop. Bangladesh doesn't have enough food, it doesn't have enough electricity, it does not have an effective system, and yet they can stop our BSF from fencing the border. All of this seems to indicate that our entire approach does appear to be very ad hoc.
No, by and large, I agree with what Brahma is saying. That's true. But see, no country has got absolute border security. If the US had border security, it wouldn't have problems with Mexicans, coming in. It's not possible. 100% is not possible. But having said that, your point is right. You need to be, the Bangladesh border, as any of these gentlemen will tell you, it's a terrible place. It's got rivers, it's got you've seen it yourself. What kind of landscape it becomes, especially during monsoons. So there are physical problems here. As for affordability, here is Pakistan, which is, the most broke state ever.
Yes.
And is still doing this kind of thing, the kind of thing that it is, you heard 80% of the so-called terrorists. I am very hesitant to call them terrorists because these are not non-state actors.
Yes.
These are a different breed who are very well trained. They are professional. They are not your usual, guys who come and get killed. They are staying within the forest. They are coming out, engage and go back. They are still doing that, and those guys are broke. So there's no, when Kargil happened, Pakistan was broke.
Yes.
So there's no direct correlation between this.
No, somewhere down the line, that would mean, General Bhatia, our policies still remain ad hoc? Because Bangladesh should be apprehensive. Their border guards should be scared of our BSF, and yet they can challenge them, they can stop them, which means somewhere down the line, what we used to hear about the 1990s about our soldiers and Pakistani soldiers, that we are far superior, but we need to keep going back and taking commands from one up chain. Pakistan doesn't need to do that. The same thing appears to be happening with Bangladesh. I mean, how dare Bangladeshi border guards stop border fencing on the Indian side?
I think, Gaurav, you're absolutely right. We need to be more assertive along the borders. And we want to differentiate between border security, border management, border defense. Right? There are certain differences in that. So we got to synergize the efforts. Even let me know, the topic has come up. Even along the sensitive line of actual control, we have the armed forces, and then we have the ITBP. The ITBP functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yes.
The armed forces under the Ministry of Defense. And then there are conflicting orders being passed through various echelons of the ministry downwards, through various echelons. Why can't we have one border, one force as per the government of, Group of Ministers report of 2002?
Yes.
It's categorically, para 5.1, that we should have one border, one force, and the contested borders would be manned by the army. And the BSF is under operational control of the army along the line of control. But along the line of actual control, there is differences. And all the cooperation, the coordination on the ground level, the structures have to be smooth. There have to be systems and structures in place.
Okay.
Otherwise, the most sensitive borders, we've got dual command and control, which is not a very good situation. Let me tell you that, having been on the LC and Manipur on the LAC.
So, which means while we are spending so much money on multiple borders, General Hasnain, and infrastructure development, I would understand, is to checkmate China and ensure Pakistan cannot launch a military operation. However, these countries on their own, together with countries like Bangladesh, this threat of radical Islamist terror, India continues to then bleed at multiple borders, General Hasnain.
Oh, well, there's no doubt about that, Gaurav. But specific to Bangladesh, I do believe that the government of India is following a policy of greater tolerance at the moment. While I entirely agree with General Bhatia that, you can't allow yourself to be taken for a ride on an issue like this when you've decided that you are going to fence the border, then you might as well go ahead and do it.
Yes.
But the tipping point, you see, many times it happens in situations of this kind where standoff with a country which has been friendly with you for the better part of so many years, and suddenly you are accosted with a situation such as this, you will consider many times before actually reaching the tipping point. I'm sure the government of India has no doubt that it will act if it is required to act finally. But it will perhaps continue to give a last chance to that situation to improve itself.
Okay. Professor Chilani, Tara Karta, Dr. Karta also raised that point about 60% of the 73 terrorists, the army chief said, who were killed in Jammu and Kashmir were Pakistani. He also said there's no drop in infiltration attempts. In your appreciation, given Pakistan's condition, can it still scale up at will? Any plan to bleed India at the LOC, with China at the LAC, with Bangladesh at the international border, or with these local radicalized youth, bleed us from within?
Gaurav, look at it this way. If failing state like Pakistan can continue to bleed India, can continue to infiltrate terrorists into India, what does it say about India?
Yes.
If a country like Bangladesh, which today is in dire state financially, whose economy is going downhill rapidly, if that, with a illegitimate government in office, forces India to halt its barbed wire fencing, what does it say about India? Or, for example, not being able to even close your border with Myanmar.
Yes.
Allowing the situation in Manipur to deteriorate. Even drones and other Western-supplied weapons to Myanmar rebels are now entering Manipur. What does it say about India? Or keeping the border with Nepal open? If some hostile foreign forces want want to undermine India's internal security. They will use the Nepal frontier, wouldn't they?
Yes.
So why is it that our decision makers, our policy makers, don't take a holistic view of border management and border security? Why is it that we spend all this money, billions of dollars, importing fancy weapon systems, but we are unable to deal with basic things? How is China investing in border security? Look at the way China is concentrating on creating effective border security. It's doing everything possible to build foolproof border security, not just with India, with every other neighbor. That's the way to go about it. Learn from your own enemy as to how to upgrade your border management and border security.
Or learn from past mistakes. We've made so many mistakes at multiple borders, General Hasnain, and I fail to understand. I mean, these tunnels are outstanding. They're required. Our infrastructure push is very good. Helps economy, helps country, big strategic growth. But the bleeding borders, we've suffered in the past. We haven't learned from history, it would appear. Manipur case in point, the rebels, and Manipur, General Bhatia knows Manipur, with these rebels getting weapons from across the border, foreign countries playing that evil game, deep state getting involved, not just in Manipur, but also along the India-Bangladesh border. How does one checkmate that, General Hasnain?
See, Gaurav, while I fully agree with Brahmachalani Saab, that, we need to do much more. We need to improve. But at the same time, also bat for the government of India to that extent that the kind of terrain which exists around our country, the kind of borders that we have, you can keep constructing fences and double fences and triple fences. I can tell you that people will still get across, material and resources will still get across, drugs will still get across. If you go and see what's happening in the Middle East, how did weaponry reach the Hamas? Tell me that. There's a sea route and there's a route coming from Iran through Syria, through Lebanon, through Israel. How did it reach there? How did tons and tons of cement get inside Gaza to construct 150 kilometers worth of tunnels? No one can really explain this, Gaurav. It's very easy for us to sit here and take decisions to say that the army and the armed forces, the CAPFs have made huge mistakes. The government of India has not been decisive enough. Let me tell you, this is an international trend. It happens across the world. But I agree to that extent that we need to be more decisive and we need to continue making greater efforts.